I want you to try and visualize a map of the United States. Zoom in on the south, right down to the boot of Louisiana. Now, I want you to erase the roads.
Okay.
Erase the noise of the traffic, the hum of the streetlights, the sound of people walking to work. Replace all that pavement with water. And I don't mean a puddle, not a flooded gutter, but 10, 12 feet of water.
It's a complete erasure of the landscape we know, a total reset.
Exactly. It is absolute silence. It's late August. The heat is oppressive. The air is thick. And you are looking at a drowned American city. But if you look closely, gliding down the middle of what used to be a suburban street, right over the tops of submerged fences and the roofs of cars, there is a man in a silver canoe.
It's an image that feels almost biblical, doesn't it? Like a modern-day Noah navigating the end of the world.
It really does. He's paddling with this secondhand aluminum paddle, gliding past houses that are dark and silent. He's feeding dogs that are stranded on porches. He's listening for the faint sound of voices coming from inside attics.
To anyone watching, he looks like some sort of great explorer.
A Lewis and Clark figure, yeah. But he's actually just a painting contractor named Abdulrahman Zeitoun, paddling through his own neighborhood in New Orleans.
And this, of course, is the central image of Zeitoun, the nonfiction book by Dave Eggers. I think for a lot of people, when they hear New Orleans in 2005, their brain immediately shortcuts to Hurricane Katrina.
Oh, for sure.
They expect a story about meteorology or the Superdome or, FEMA trailers.
Right. And we are going to talk about the storm because you literally cannot tell the story without the water. But what makes this deep dive so fascinating and why I was so excited to dig into these sources is that this isn't really a story about a hurricane.
No, not at its core.
It's about a family. It's about this man, Zeitoun, and his wife, Kathy. It's about a painting business. It's about faith. And it's about this incredibly jarring disconnect between what the world thought was happening in New Orleans and what was actually happening to this one man in his canoe.
That is the mission for this deep dive. We want to unpack how one family's specific history, which is rooted halfway across the world in Syria and deeply tied to the ocean, somehow prepared them for an American apocalypse. It's really a case study in the efficiency of a single individual versus the absolute catastrophic failure of the system.
It's the ultimate man versus machine story, but the machine is broken and the man is in a canoe.
So let's introduce our cast of characters before the clouds gather. First, front and center, we have Abdulrahman Zeitoun. Everyone just calls him Zeitoun.
Right.
He's a Syrian-American, a painting contractor in New Orleans. Based on the book, if I had to describe him, I'd use 3 words: hardworking, stubborn, and devout.
He's a fascinating figure. He's a former sailor, which is a detail we are going to come back to again and again because it explains so much of his psychology. He's a man who is used to navigating storms.
Right, he spent years on oil tankers.
And he's deeply religious, like a devout Muslim who prays 5 times a day no matter where he is or what is happening around him. And then we have his wife, Kathy Zeitoun. She's American, a Southern Baptist who converted to Islam before she met Zeitoun. And I have to say, reading through the source material, Kathy might be the most compelling character in this whole saga.
She is the engine of the family.
She absolutely is.
Yeah.
While Zeitoun is the quiet, stoic workman who is out on the job sites, Kathy is the brains of the operation. She runs the office, she handles the books, she deals with the clients.
She's the protector. She's the point of contact.
And she's got this incredible balance. She's the voice of the business because she has this thick Southern drawl that, puts the local clients at ease. But do not let that drawl fool you. She is fierce.
Oh, she's tough. The sources describe her as someone you do not want to cross.
Not at all.
She's the one who isn't afraid to unleash a verbal barrage if you mess with her family.
Yeah.
And that dynamic, the quiet, pragmatic husband and the fierce, vocal wife, that's the foundation of everything that happens later.
So, here is the roadmap for this deep dive. We aren't just going to summarize the book. We're going to walk you through the life they built before the storm, the agonizing decision to stay when everyone else left, the surreal reality of the flood itself, and the incredible rescues Zeitoun performed. We're going to distill this down to the most surprising human moments.
Let's start with the foundation, life before the storm. Because you can't understand the tragedy of the flood if you don't understand the normalcy that was washed away.
So Zeitoun and Kathy run this business, Zeitoun A Painting Contractor, LLC. And they are successful. I mean, they're everywhere in New Orleans. But there is this hilarious detail about their company logo that I just have to share.
Okay.
It perfectly encapsulates who Zeitoun is. It's a paint roller, right? Standard stuff. But the roller is resting at the end of a rainbow.
A rainbow in the south.
A rainbow. Now, Zeitoun, bless his heart, he's a practical guy. He thought, I paint houses. Paint comes in colors. A rainbow has all the colors.
So it's just a color palette for him.
It's a color palette. He's being completely literal. He thought it's the perfect logo to show clients the variety we offer.
He was being completely literal. He saw it as a color chart.
Completely literal. He didn't think about the cultural context at all. But of course, a rainbow signifies something very specific in American culture, and especially in a city like New Orleans, which has such a vibrant community.
Right. It's a universal symbol of LGBTQ pride.
Exactly. So suddenly, Zeitoun, a painting contractor, is getting a lot of calls from gay couples in the French Quarter, which is great.
Hey, business is business.
Business is booming. They are booking jobs left and right. But at the same time, Kathy starts noticing something. Some potential clients, and even some of their own workers, are getting skittish.
The sources mentioned that workers were actually quitting or refusing to drive the van because they didn't want to work under the rainbow sign.
Can you believe that?
They assumed the company only hired gay painters or was making some kind of political statement.
And here is where we see the steal in Zeitoun. Kathy points out the misunderstanding. She basically says, hey, maybe we should change the logo so people don't get the wrong idea. Most business owners would say, yeah, let's rebrand, avoid confusion.
Of course. That's the logical business move.
But what does Zeitoun do?
He shrugs it off.
He shrugs. He basically says, think about it, Kathy. We are a Muslim couple running a painting company in Louisiana. If someone has a problem with a rainbow, they probably have a problem with Islam too. So who cares? Let's just keep it.
I love that analysis. It shows his resilience. He doesn't get bogged down in identity politics or prejudice. He just wants to do good work.
It's pure pragmatism.
He figures money is money, and if you don't like me, that's your problem, not mine.
It's so pragmatic, and that work ethic is intense. The book describes their life as this nonstop whirlwind. The phone starts ringing at 6:30 a.m. every day.
Every single day.
And there's this one story about a tangerine bathroom that I think perfectly captures their dynamic.
Yeah.
Kathy calls him up and says, this client on the West Bank hates the bathroom color. She wants it repainted.
Oh, no.
And Zeitoun is like, I told her that tangerine was a bad idea. I knew it.
But he goes and fixes it. Of course he does.
He goes and fixes it. He's patient. He deals with fickle clients. He deals with workers disappearing. And Kathy manages the chaos from the office. It's a partnership.
But it's not all business. The domestic life depicted in the sources is really charming, and it creates a stark contrast to the isolation that's coming. There's a lot of fussing, as Kathy calls it.
Fussing is such a great word for married banter. It's not fighting, it's just friction. And Kathy has this one piece of ammunition she uses against him constantly, the forgotten baby incident.
Oh, this is a classic. You have to tell this one.
Okay, so picture the scene. This is years ago, right after their daughter Nadima was born. Kathy is exhausted. She has just given birth. They drive home from the hospital or wherever they were, and Zeitoun is being the doting husband.
Right. He's trying his best.
He helps her out of the car, helps her up the stairs, gets her into the bedroom, tucks her into bed. It's very sweet.
So far, so good. He's winning husband points.
Kathy gets comfortable, looks up at him, and says, okay, give her to me. And Zeitoun looks at his empty hands. He looks around the room. No baby.
Oh, no.
He had left the newborn baby in her car seat on the front lawn.
In his defense, and I'm playing devil's advocate here, he was very focused on his wife's recovery.
That is a generous defense. I'm not sure Kathy would agree. He ran back down the stairs in a panic, and there she was, Nadima, just sleeping peacefully on the grass.
How?
But Kathy never let him live it down. Anytime he gets a little arrogant and says, I don't forget things, she just has to say, you forgot our firstborn child in the yard. And the argument is over.
He has no comeback. That's the ultimate checkmate.
No.
It establishes them as a real, loving, imperfect family. They have 4 kids. The sources mention the girls are obsessed with Pride and Prejudice, specifically the Keira Knightley movie.
Well, every single night.
They watch it every single night. Zeitoun comes home tired from painting houses and finds his daughters bowing and curtsying and swooning in the living room.
And he's just baffled by it, right? He doesn't get it.
Totally baffled. He grew up in a fishing town in Syria. This British Regency-era girlishness is alien to him. But he loves it because they love it. It shows the softness of their home life.
It really does. But, and here is where we have to pivot a bit, there is a shadow hanging over this domestic bliss. We're talking about 2005. This is post-9/11 America.
Right. They are a successful, integrated family, but they are always slightly other. The sources mention incidents that happen in the background. A teacher harassing an Iraqi student nearby.
And Kathy, who wears a hijab, deals with this visceral prejudice on a regular basis.
It's just a constant presence in her life.
There's a specific incident in a mall that really stood out to me. Kathy is just shopping, minding her own business, and a teenager, comes up behind her and tries to rip the hijab off her head.
This was unfortunately a trend at the time, a physical assault on her identity.
Yeah. And this is where we see that Southern steel I mentioned earlier. Kathy doesn't cower. She doesn't cry. She turns around and unleashes this fusillade of curses at this girl.
Good for her.
The book says she was shocked by her own language, but she wasn't going to let that slide. She told Zeitoun early in their relationship, "I'm going to speak my mind." And she meant it.
It's important context for the listener. When the storm comes and the social order breaks down, that feeling of being an outsider, of being looked at with suspicion, stops being an annoyance and becomes a matter of life and death.
That's a great point.
But before the water, it's just the background hum of their lives. They are resilient, they are tough, and they are together.
So let's move to section 2, the gathering storm. It's late August 2005, and if you've never lived in a hurricane zone, it's hard to explain the psychology of warnings.
It's the boy who cried wolf syndrome. You get warnings all the time. Tropical Storm X is coming, then it turns.
Well, yeah.
Or it hits, and it's just a heavy rain.
Wait, it's just another Tuesday.
New Orleans had dodged bullets for decades. So when the news starts talking about a tropical storm near Florida, Zeitoun isn't panicking. He's looking at his job schedule.
But there's a voice of reason entering the chat, and it's coming from across the Atlantic Ocean.
Zeitoun's brother, Ahmad. Ahmad is a ship captain, a man who has spent his life on the sea. He's in Malaga, Spain, sitting at a computer watching the raw satellite data.
He's not watching the local news. He's looking at the real numbers.
And he calls Zeitoun with a very different tone than the local weatherman.
What is he seeing that the locals aren't?
He's looking at the physics of it. He sees the size. He sees the barometric pressure dropping. To a sailor, a drop in pressure is the voice of God saying, move.
Wow.
He knows storms, and he knows this isn't a normal weather event. He tells Zeitoun, this is massive. You need to get out.
It's chilling, isn't it? You're in New Orleans looking out the window at a gray sky thinking, it's fine, I'll just board up the windows. And your brother, 4,000 miles away, is looking at a screen saying, you are in the path of a monster.
And while Ahmad is looking at the data, Kathy is looking at the human toll. She becomes obsessed with the news story about a family of 5 lost at sea in Florida during a previous storm.
It's foreshadowing. She's terrified that her family is going to be swept away.
Absolutely. She's packing bags in her head before the order is even given.
So the pressure builds. It's Friday, August 26th, then Saturday. The warnings get more dire. Finally, they make a decision. The family's going to split up.
This is the pivotal moment. The fork in the road. Kathy takes the kids. She packs the minivan, the Honda Odyssey. She grabs the dog, May-Kay. And we have to pause on the dog because the drive to Baton Rouge is the stuff of nightmares.
Oh my God, the flatulent dog. We have to mention this. It's such a real humanizing detail.
It is. They're fleeing a Category 5 hurricane. The traffic is bumper to bumper. A drive that should take 1 hour takes 8 or 10. And the dog, May-Kay, has chosen this specific moment to have terrible gas.
It's tragic and hilarious at the same time. The kids are crying, Kathy is stressed out of her mind, the world is ending, and the dog is farting the whole way to Baton Rouge.
It captures the misery of evacuation so perfectly. It's not cinematic, it's just gross and exhausting.
Exactly. But while they are stuck in that traffic, Zeitoun is back at the house. He stays behind. And we need to really unpack why. Why does a rational man, a father who loves his kids, stay in the path of a killer storm?
The text gives us a few reasons. One is purely practical, right? He's a business owner.
Right. He has properties to manage. He has job sites all over the city. He needs to secure ladders, board up windows, move equipment.
If he leaves and a ladder flies through a client's window, he's liable. He feels a professional responsibility to secure the ship, so to speak.
That's the businessman in him. But I feel like there's something deeper. It's his nature.
It's absolutely his nature. He is stubborn, and he has what psychologists might call optimism bias, but it's rooted in his competence.
Ooh, that's a good way to put it.
His house is elevated. It's raised 3 feet off the ground, plus that has a second story. He genuinely believes he can weather it. There's a quote from his brother Ahmad that resonates here. If a sailor finds the right port, Zeitoun feels like he's built a fortress.
He thinks he's safe.
He trusts his ability to survive because he comes from a lineage of survivors.
He thinks he can outsmart the water.
Or at least endure it.
And he has a secret weapon. The canoe.
The famous $75 secondhand canoe.
Kathy rolled her eyes when he bought this thing. It's been sitting in the garage, gathering dust, probably home to spiders. But on Sunday night, as the wind starts howling and the trees start snapping, Zeitoun drags that canoe out.
He's getting ready.
He fills garbage cans with water to catch leaks. He's preparing for a siege.
And then the storm hits. Sunday night. The violence of the wind is indescribable. Windows breaking, trees falling on roofs. Zeitoun is running around with buckets, plugging leaks, moving furniture.
It's terrifying, but it's a battle he understands. He's fighting the wind. He's active.
But then Monday passes. The wind dies down. The sun even comes out a bit. And Tuesday morning, something changes. This is section 3, The New World.
This is the moment the genre of the story shifts. It stops being a disaster movie and starts being something surreal. Zeitoun wakes up on Tuesday, August 30th. The storm has passed, but he hears a sound.
Running water.
Not rain on the roof, running water, like a tap left on.
He looks out the window, and the water in the street is rising. But, and this is the crucial detail, it's not murky, muddy, brown floodwater.
No.
It's clear. It's green.
That is the moment of realization. If you know New Orleans geography, you know what clear green water means. It's not runoff from the Mississippi.
It's Lake Pontchartrain.
The lake is pouring into the city.
The levees have failed. The walls that hold back the massive lake to the north have breached. The bowl of New Orleans is filling up with lake water.
The description here is haunting. He watches the water rise up the steps, onto the porch, into the house. It's slow, relentless. And he does something here that I found so poignant.
The fish tank.
The fish tank. He has this aquarium in the living room. And he realizes the power is out, the filters are dead. The fish are going to die if he leaves them there.
Right, there's no way to save them in the tank.
So he takes a net, scoops them up, and drops them into the rising floodwater in his living room.
It's a moment of liberation amidst disaster. Think about the irony. For the humans, for Zeitoun, this water is the end of civilization. It's destruction. But for the fish,
it's freedom.
It's freedom. They are swimming out of the tank, out the door, and into a new underwater world. It's a microcosmic version of what Zeitoun is about to do.
So the house floods. He moves everything to the second floor, electronics, photos, the kids' games. He's methodical. But the water keeps coming. It stops at about 9 or 10 feet outdoors.
He's trapped.
He's trapped on the second floor. He's sleeping in a tent on the roof because it's too hot inside without AC.
And here's where the connection to his past really locks in. He's looking at this water, this vast green sheet of water covering his neighborhood. And it reminds him of his childhood on Arwood Island in Syria.
He's an islander.
He is. He's not terrified by the water. He feels a strange familiarity with it. It's almost peaceful. The silence, the water reflecting the sky. He feels at home in a way that most Americans wouldn't.
Which brings us to Section 4, The Explorer. Wednesday morning, August 31st, the city is drowned, and Zeitoun launches the canoe.
This is the image we started with, and I want to emphasize the contrast here. Kathy is in Phoenix now. She drove all the way to Arizona to stay with a friend. She is glued to CNN. And what is she seeing?
She's seeing the apocalypse, reports of shoot-to-kill orders, rapes in the Superdome, sniper fire, absolute anarchy. She thinks her husband is in hell.
But Zeitoun, he's paddling through a silent, beautiful Venetian landscape. He sees birds, he sees fish. He says he felt invigorated.
He feels like an explorer charting new territory.
But he's not just sightseeing. He goes to work. And this is where the efficiency of the individual really shines against the failure of the system. He starts hearing voices.
Let's talk about the rescues, because these are incredible. He paddles by a house and sees a neighbor, Frank Noland, waiting at a second-story window.
Frank hops in the canoe. Now they're a team.
They paddle over Frank's truck, which is completely submerged. It's like seeing the ruins of a past life. But then they hear a cry. A faint woman's voice. Help me.
This scene, it's intense. They paddle to a house, and Zeitoun has to jump into the water, which is disgusting, by the way, full of chemicals and sewage, even if it looks clear.
Oh, it's a toxic soup.
To get to the porch. He forces the door open, and floating inside, holding onto a bookshelf near the ceiling, is a woman.
She's in her 70s. She's heavy-set. She's been floating there for 24 hours, holding on for dear life.
And this is where the system failure becomes undeniable. Zeitoun and Frank realize they can't get her into the canoe. She's too heavy, it'll tip. So they paddle to a main road, Claiborne Avenue, to flag down help.
And they see fan boats.
These are the big airboats, right? Like you see in the Everglades?
Yes, but these are being run by law enforcement or military. They are loud, fast, and powerful. This is the cavalry.
So Zeitoun waves them down. Stop! "Help, we have a woman dying." And what happens?
The boats just pass them by.
They don't stop.
They don't stop. They don't even slow down.
But why? I mean, 10 boats pass them. Ken, how do you ignore 2 men screaming for help in a disaster zone?
It's the question of the book. The source material suggests these patrols were operating on a military logic, not a rescue logic. They were looking for looters or insurgents.
So they weren't on a search and rescue mission, they were on a security patrol.
Exactly. They were there to secure the area, not necessarily to save individuals. It's bureaucratic paralysis. My orders are to patrol Sector 4, not to pick up civilians.
It's infuriating. The system has the gas, the boats, the radios, but no humanity. Zeitoun has a plastic paddle and a heart.
So Zeitoun and Frank have to do it themselves. They flag down a couple of civilians in a small fishing boat. They go back to the woman, but she can't climb into the boat. She's exhausted. She's elderly. She has a bad leg.
This is the hero moment I alluded to earlier. The physics of this are wild.
Totally. Zeitoun gets in the water. They use a ladder as a sort of stretcher or fulcrum. He goes under the water, beneath the ladder, and performs a shoulder press.
No way.
Lifting this woman, the ladder, and the water weight up so the men in the boat can pull her in.
That is superhuman strength born of adrenaline. He lifts her to safety.
They save her. They save Frank. They save a couple waving a white flag. They save a pastor and his wife.
And it's not just people. It's the dogs.
Oh, the dogs. The sound of the dogs howling at night haunts him. It's the soundtrack of the flood.
So he starts a feeding route. He paddles to houses where he hears barking. He climbs trees, builds little bridges with planks to get into windows.
What does he feed them? This is my favorite detail.
Filet mignon.
Filet mignon and steaks from his own freezer.
Because the power is out, the meat is thawing. So he loads up the canoe with expensive cuts of beef.
I love that. Have a little faith, he tells the dogs. He's feeding them better than most people eat on a Tuesday.
It's a detail that shows his humanity. He doesn't see animals and people. He sees suffering, and he sees that he has the means to alleviate it. He finds purpose in it.
Yeah, he tells Kathy later, I feel like I'm supposed to be here.
This brings us to Section 5, Ancestry and Resilience. Because you have to ask, why is this painting contractor so comfortable doing this? Why isn't he scared? Most people would be paralyzed by the germs, the snakes, the isolation.
But understand that you have to go back to Jabla, Syria. The book gives us these flashbacks to his family history. It's in his blood.
Specifically, the men in his family and their relationship with water.
First, his father, Mahmoud, a legend in his own right. During World War II, his ship was sunk by the Germans. Torpedoed. Mahmoud survived by hiding underwater while the planes strafed the surface with machine guns. Later, he survived a shipwreck by clinging to a barrel for 2 days in a storm.
So survival is literally in the DNA.
Literally. But then there's the brother, Mohammed, the human torpedo.
That is the coolest nickname in history.
I mean, come on.
Mohammed Zeitoun was a world champion long-distance swimmer. And when I say champion, I mean a national icon. We're talking about a guy who won the Capri-to-Naples race, beating the world record.
How far is that?
It's over 30 kilometers. It's an insane distance. He was a national hero in Syria and Egypt. President Nasser feted him. He was like the Michael Jordan of the Middle East for a brief period.
And Zeitoun grew up in the shadow of this legend.
Exactly. He grew up swimming in the Mediterranean. He spent a decade working as a sailor on oil tankers around the world. He's seen storms in the Atlantic, the Pacific.
So a flooded street in New Orleans is nothing.
So when the streets of New Orleans turn into a waterway, Zeitoun doesn't see a disaster zone. He sees his element. He sees the ocean.
The expert insight here is fascinating. He is honoring his brother's legacy. Muhammad died young in a car crash, which was a huge tragedy for the family. But Zeitoun is carrying that strength forward. He's the new swimmer, the new navigator.
It explains his calm. While Kathy is panicking about germs and snakes and looters, Zeitoun's paddling around feeling clean. He feels useful. He feels connected to his ancestors.
But, and there's always a but, Section 6 is where the friction starts. The honeymoon period of the explorer phase begins to wear off because the system starts showing its teeth.
We saw it with the fan boats ignoring the rescue, but it gets more explicit. There's the story of the pastor, Alvin Williams. Zeitoun finds him and his wife stuck on their porch.
Right, so he paddles to a staging area, a place where the military and police are gathering.
He paddles up, expecting to say, "Hey, I have a disabled elderly couple here, come help." That's a reasonable expectation, so.
Instead, soldiers point M16s at him.
Guns. at a guy in a canoe.
They treat him as a threat. They tell him, not our problem. They say they can't call anyone. They have radios, they have helicopters, but they claim they are helpless to coordinate a simple rescue because of protocol.
It's bureaucratic paralysis. That's not my department.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, people are dying a few blocks away.
Zeitoun is furious. He goes to another soldier who takes down the address and promises to send help, but they never come.
Of course not.
So who saves them? Not the National Guard. It's Todd Gambino.
Todd is a tenant of Zeitoun's, a mechanic. He finds a motorboat, commandeers it, and starts running his own rescue missions. Zeitoun and Todd, two civilians, get the job done while the army stands around pointing guns at rescuers.
And this leads to the armed gangs narrative. The media is screaming about looting and violence. Kathy is hearing that New Orleans is a war zone. But Zeitoun, what is he seeing?
He sees one instance of looting at a Shell station. He avoids it. Otherwise, he sees neighbors helping neighbors. He sees quiet desperation.
There is a massive disconnect here. The media created a feedback loop of fear. They reported rumors as fax reports of babies being murdered, snipers shooting at helicopters.
And almost none of it was true.
Most of that turned out to be false. But that fear drove the military response. The soldiers arrived expecting to fight an insurgency, not to save flood victims.
And that attitude that everyone's a suspect starts to encroach on Zeitoun. There's a helicopter encounter where they try to rescue him from his roof.
Yeah.
He waves them off, gives them the thumbs up because he wants to stay and help. What do?
They drop a box of water on him.
They drop supplies from high altitude. It crushes his tent. It's almost comedic if it weren't so symbolic. The help from above is destructive.
And then there's the mystery phone call. This gave me chills. Kathy calls one of their properties on Claiborne Street, where the landline is miraculously working. She expects Zeitoun to pick up.
Instead, a stranger answers. An American man. He's rude, evasive, he won't say who he is, and then he hangs up.
Kathy panics. Is Zeitoun dead? Has his house been taken over by these gangs she keeps hearing about?
It injects this thriller element into the story. We know, because we are following Zeitoun, that he's fine. But Kathy is living in a horror movie.
Section 7, the separation. Kathy is in Phoenix now, staying with her friend Yuko. She's safe. The kids are swimming in a pool, but she is mentally unraveling.
The contrast is stark.
Yeah.
The kids are splashing in chlorinated blue water in the desert sun, safe and sound, while their father is paddling through sewage-tainted floodwater 1,000 miles away.
It's a jarring visual.
It really is.
Kathy begs him to leave. She gets him on the phone and says, "You've done enough. Get out."
But he refuses. And this is the crux of the character study. Why does he stay, even after the immediate danger is over? Even after he's rescued the neighbors?
He finds NASA.
Right. Nasser is a friend, another Syrian-American who stayed behind. They team up, and suddenly, it's a brotherhood. They are barbecuing meat on the roof. They are feeding dogs. They are checking on properties.
It's a new kind of normal.
Zeitoun feels closer to God on that roof than he ever has in his daily life.
He calls it a calling. He believes God put him there.
And if you look at the results, the lives saved, the dogs fed, it's hard to argue with him. He was the right man, in the right place with the right boat. He feels a clarity of purpose that most of us search for our whole lives.
So we're approaching the end of this deep dive. We're leaving the listener with a snapshot. It's Friday night, September 2nd.
The water is still there, but life has settled into a rhythm. Zeitoun, Nasser, and Todd are on the roof. They've got the grill going. They're cooking the last of the thawing meat.
It sounds almost pleasant, like a camping trip.
It is. It's a moment of pure, unadulterated purpose. Zeitoun feels strong. He feels useful. He has stripped away all the noise of modern life, the bills, the traffic, the deadlines, and he is just a man helping his community.
He's living his faith.
But, and we have to leave the listener with this provocative thought, this peace is an illusion.
It is, because while Zeitoun feels safe, the machine is turning. The city is filling up with soldiers who have been told that New Orleans is full of violent criminals. They are patrolling the streets with automatic weapons.
They are building makeshift prisons at the bus station.
Zeitoun thinks his enemy is the water, or the hunger, but the real danger isn't the flood anymore.
No, the real danger is the rescue. The irony is that Zeitoun was safer when he was alone with the water. As civilization comes back, as order is restored, he's about to face a threat that his canoe can't navigate.
It's a chilling place to stop, but that is the reality of Zeitoun. It asks us to look at who we trust in a crisis. Do we trust the man in the canoe or the man in the fan boat who won't stop?
And it asks us to question our assumptions about heroes. Zeitoun didn't look like the hero the media was looking for. He was a Muslim man in a canoe. but he was exactly the hero the city needed.
Well, that unpacks Zeitoun, at least the first part of this incredible saga. It's a story about the best of humanity operating in the worst of circumstances.
And a reminder that sometimes the most effective tool against a catastrophe isn't a government agency. It's a secondhand canoe and a little bit of faith.
Thanks for diving in with us.
Always a pleasure.